Welcome everyone. Today we have another new episode, and this is about the learners. Because learning is the major strategy how we can develop our things. Learning is a major strategy how we can understand different kind of important aspect of the organization and the society. The learners. So what is the learners? If writers are more aware of their own writing process and what helps and hinders their writing, then they are more likely both to become more confident writer and are able to support other in their writing too. The same principles apply to sorry leaders and manager. The mentor or coaches need to be aware of the way in which mentees coaches can focus on themselves as a learner. Sorry. So what is learner? We have to learn, we have to apply, we have to do, and we have to review. The transformational dimensions in mentoring and coaching, transformations or change comes about through the learning conversation. The conversations enables the process of mentoring or coaches in which there need to be an explicit focus on learning. uh, Denison and Kirk's cycle of learning 1990s is useful for their purpose. So this model can be applied to developing leaders and managers. Example, understanding themselves before understanding other. What mentoring and coaching is not. So mentoring and coaching is not counseling, although some counseling skills may be used by the mentor or coach. Learner conversations do not focus on personal problem. Neither is a learning conversation therapy, although the outcome of the conversation may leave the person feeling lifted and may feel their emotion have changed, but learner is always the focus. So in that particular situation, competency modeling is very important. If we can understand the proper competency of the employees, that time we can take necessary initiative. And competency can help us to grow our grow our impact in a professional way. So when we develop our organizations, when we develop our things in a professional way, that time we have to understand that competency is very much important for the organization. Let's say an employee, an accountant, he can handles 100 people's things, 100 people accounting related activities. So in that situations, if you can understand that that if you can understand this kind of things is very much important, that how we can understand the competency of a specific person. So for that particular issues, we have to understand the competency. What is the competency? It is derived from the Latin words competer, which means to be suitable. The concept was originally developed in the psychological denoting individuals' ability to respond to demand placed on them by the environment. Any underlying characteristics required performing a given task, activity, or role successful can be considered as competency. So, what is competency defined? A collection of characteristics, skills, knowledge, and self-concept, trait, behaviors, motivation, etc. They enable us to successfully complete a given task. Let's say if we have a skills, we have knowledge, and we have a self-concept. These are the three things. If we can grow together, that time we can take necessary initiative for development our competencies. Iceberg model of the competency. This is very important. The iceberg model is that knowledge and skills is the open up things, but behind that, interpersonal teamwork players, attitudes, value, achievements, motivations. These are the very important things. You need attitudes, you need values, you need proper achievements, you need motivations. Beside that, you need interpersonal skills. You need to be team players. So what is this and is a less visible competency is less easy to observe and measures, and visible thing is that visible competency easy to observe and measure. So what is skills? Skill is a learned ability. What is knowledge? Acquiring information in a particular fields. So self image is attitudes and values. What is trait? Why and how we behave a certain way. Motives, what drive us, example the need to seek achievement, power or influence or affiliations. So competency in the corporate worlds, communication without offending others, critical thinking, seeing the big pictures, ethics or social responsibility, ethical behaviors, information technology, creativity, creativity optimizations. We have more other things. Let's say interpersonal skill, being non-judgmentals, leaderships. We need change management or managing change, self-management learning. We need to be self-motivated. You need a teamwork, collaborations, or impact on self. Technically, know-how. This is also important part of your competency. So in the competency level, there is a personal competency, there is a social competency. What is personal competency? Self-awareness, knowledge of one's self-concept or values. Empathy, awareness of other feelings and emotions. Self-regulations, management of other impulse and emotions. Social skills, adaptness at including desire response in others. Motivation, self-guidance and desire. Competency classifications. In the competency classifications, we need social and technicals. Let's say behavior, leadership, generic competency. These are the individuals. And organizations, null culture. This is the important. So technical point of views, if we focus on the competency, we need functional or organizational knowledge, skill knowledge, threshold competency. On the other hand, we need core competency, corporate competence, and distinctive competency. This is very important. So why use competencies? We use competency because help individual and organizations to improve their performance and deliver results. Can be qualified and communicated, can be taught, learned, measured and monitored. These are very important things for that. Benefit of competency modelings. In the competency modelings, we need integrate fragmented management and the practices, link individuals or group performance to strategic directions, help develop high value activities for the organization, focus on what people do, no, not what they are, led to organizational flexibility and stability, led to competitive advantage, participatory and involving. Its object therefore can be generated to possible change in business further and to ensure relevance. These are the very important things. Benefit of competency modeling HR delivery. Sorry. So matching of individuals and job. If we can understand individual person and their jobs, we can understand employee selections, understand training and development, professional and personal development, performance measures and successful planning. If we can understand these are the things in a professional way, that time we can take necessary initiative. So there are many interesting things we can discuss if we can understand these things in a professional way. If we can understand different kind of aspects in a competitive way, that will help us to understand our organizations. So who identify competencies? Competencies can be identified by one of more of the following category of the people. Let's say expert, HR specialist, job analyst, psychologist, industrial engineers, etc. In consultations with line managers, current or past role holders, supervisors, seniors, reporters and reviewing officer, internal customer, subordinates of the role holders and other role set members of the role, those who have expectations from the role holders and who interacts with him or her. This is important. So what type of methodology we can use? The following methodology are used in combination for competency mapping. We can take interviews, we can do group works, We can go for task force, we can go for task analysis workforce, we can go for questionnaires, we can use of job description, we can go for the performance appraisal format. These are the important things. How are they identified? The process of identification is not very complex. One of the matters is given below. Number one, simply ask each person who is currently performing the role to list the task to be performed by him one by one, and identify the knowledge, attitude, skills required to perform each of these. Consolidate the list, present it to a role set group and a specific special task force constituted for the role. Edit and finalize. This is the important things of the competencies. What language we can use for organizing the competency? Use technical language for technical competencies. For example, knowledge of hydraulics. Use business language for the business competence. Example, knowledge of market for each watch business or strategic thinking. Use your own language or standard term for the behavioral competence. Example, ability to negotiate, interpersonal sensitivity, sales technique, two technicals, conceptual knowledge allied to the organization, and people may create more problem than help. These are the measures, things we can do, and we can understand, and we can assess in a effective way. When we can understand different kind of law, when we can understand different kind of rules and regulations, that times we can take lot of initiative. Beside that, if we go for the assessment centers, we can define few of the important things. Assessment center typically involve the participant completing a range of exercise which simulate the activities carried out in the target job. Various combination of this exercise and sometimes other assessment method like psychometrics testing and interview are used to assess particular competency in individuals. Beside that, if we can understand the theory behind this, that if one wishes to predict future job performance, then the best way of doing this is to get the individuals to carry out a set of tasks which accurately sample those required in the job and are as similar to them as possible. The particular competency used will depends upon the target job, but one will often find competencies such as relating to people, resistance to stress, planning and organizing, motivations, adaptability, flexibility, problem solving, leaderships, communication, decision making, and initiative. These are the very, very important things for developing the competencies. There are few other things we can explain in a professional's way. If we can understand these things in a effective way, that times we can take necessary initiative. Example, AC versus DC. Assessment center usuals have a pass fail criteria, are generally towards a little a job vacancy, address an intermediate organizational needs, have fewer assessment and more practitioner participants, involve line manager as a accessories, have less emphasized panel or self assessment, focus on what the candidate can do, how nows are generated to meet the needs of the organizations. There are different categories we can think. Even though we can assign the role of just to the accessor, place emphasis on selecting with details or not no developments, feedback and follow up, give feedback at later dates, involve the organization having control over the information obtained, have very little parts pre-center briefings, trained to be used with external candidate. In the development centers usefuls do not have a pass or fails criteria, are geared toward developing the individuals, addressing and long-term needs, have one-to-one ratio of assessment to the participants, do not have line manager as the accessories, have a greater emphasis placed on self-assessment, focus on potential, are great to meet needs of individuals as well as the organization, assess the role of facilitator to accessories, place the emphasis on demand development, feedback and follow up with the little or no selection functions, give feedback immediately, involve the individual giving control over the information obtained, have a substantial pre-center briefing, trained to be used with internal candidate. These are the important things. There are different type of exercise we can do for developing the competency. Let's say we can go for the group discussion. In this, candidates are brought together as a committee or project team with one or a number of items to make a recommendation on. Candidates may be assigned a specific role to play in the group, or it may be structured in such a way that all the candidates have the same basic information. With this type of exercise, and in common with other type of exercise, it is of great benefit to ensure that you understand and follow the instruction for the exercise. In tray in tray, this type of exercise is normally understood by candidate individually. The materials comprise a bundle of correspondence, and the candidate is placed the role of competencies, generally who assume a new positions or replacing their predecessors at a short notice, and have been asked to deal with their accumulated correspondence. Generally, the only evidence that the accessories have to work with are the annotations which the candidate have made on the articles of mail. It is important when undertaking such as exercise to make sure that the terms items are not just deal with, but the clearly mark on the items and thoughts they have about theme or any other action that you would like to put in train. So these are the different kind of strategy we can take, and if we can measure different kind of strategy and different kind of roles, that times we can handle the organizational competencies in a proper way. There are a few other things we can discuss about uh, employee employee competencies. So employee competencies, we gonna the importance. I gonna discuss some of the important things of the employee competencies, and by this way, we can understand different kind of roles, and by this way we can understand different kind of objective in an effective way. So let's say, what is employee competency, importance of employee competency developments. Let's say in the organizations, we need growth, productivity. This is seasons for a renewed focus on skill development and personal enrichment, plus the promise of all that these things bring, including swellings, revenue streams, new ideas, bargainings, bottom lines, to make the most of the season and effect on your employees. It might be taken to turn your HR focus to the to competency development. Great employees are always interested in learning new things and expanding their skill sets, and there are no better time than the present to provide the resource employees need to increase the value to the company. Here are few considerations to keep in mind as you are move forward. Employee core competencies as a HR tools. Competency skill checklist. Let's say business acumen, emotional stability, interactions with others, problem solving, use of software tools, work ethics. This is very important. So competency develop through different kind of skills. So tailored training resources to be needed for your staff. Before you adopted a training program, definitely you have to understand what they need. When it comes to the training program, discriminate carefully, because you need to handle your employee in a professional way. Allow your employees to guide the process. Keep communicating channels open, and encourage managers to do the same. Set clear expectations and document progress. Automated solutions such as empower form allow employees and managers to create competency development plan. So if you have a proper competency development plan, and if you can understand your business demand, you can understand your emotional stability, you can understand your interaction with others, you can understand the problem solving things, you can understand use of software tools and work ethics. This will help you to organize your competency in a professional way, and this is the way ultimately how you can achieve your organizational goal. So I request to all of the organizations, at least you should focus on the competencies, and at least you should focus on different kind of knowledge development, skill development of the organizations. And if you can create the knowledge development, if you can go for the proper skill development, that time your organization can play a very important role. So I record all of the small organizations to big organization play some important role, which is very important for our organization. Thank you everyone for joining today's sessions. If you have any kind of questions or anything, you can communicate with us, and we can give you different kind of solutions in an effective way. Thank you everyone.